Okay, let's start the session. Good afternoon to one and all. In the previous session, we have discussed how the energy diagram is studied with respect to molecular orbital theory, and we have seen how the different bond order can be determined by using a simple formula to determine the bond order. Now, in the today's session, we will discuss the formation of same hydrogen molecule on the basis of VBT. Now, before proceeding to the last lecture, this is the last lecture in this session. Basically, we started from the quantum chemistry, then we determined its polar coordinate for the hydrogen atom, then angular as well as radial wave function, then quantum number, and then probability distribution curve for different orbitals in case in the quantum chemistry. Then we started to back in molecular orbital theory. We have discussed the postulates, then the important uh, wave function determination, that is LCAO, that is linear combination of atomic orbital, and then its probability of finding the electron. And then we discuss how the molecular orbitals are having different energy and the lower energy bonding and the higher energy anti-bonding, and we proved that when the electron density is more, the stability increases and it decreases the energy. Now, along with that, we have discussed the G-rate and the un-G-rate system for the molecular orbital, that is the symmetry element that can be called as the parity, समानता और असमानता जो हम लोगों ने देखे. Then the previous one was the determination of molecular orbital diagram for the hydrogen molecule on the basis of molecular orbital theory, and then bond order. Now we can see here we started from the quantum chemistry and we reach to the valence bond theory. In this case, we have learned how the bond form, how the energy plays an important role, how overlap as well as the spatial arrangement plays a crucial role in forming the bond, because it leads to sigma as well as the pi bond formation. Why? Because when the overlap is axial, it gives the sigma, but when it is lateral, it gives the pi bond. So basically, the spatial arrangement as well as the electron that moves plays an important role. Now, the valence bond theory. Basically, when molecular orbital theory as well as the valence bond theory are discussed for explaining the bond formation, both are having their own importances. We already discussed in previous session that the molecular orbital theory more or less are more rigid or more concrete about the energy levels of the molecular orbital, whereas valence bond theory suggests the structural or the how the orientation takes place. But with respect to the study, the valence bond theory as well as the molecular bond theory, both are having their own importances. As we said in the previous session, that we cannot compare an orange with the apple, because orange is having its own importance and apple is having its own importance. So the molecular orbital theory is having its own importance, and similarly, valence bond theory is also having some importance. So what is the basis of the valence bond theory? Basically, the overlapping of orbital is there, but they also suggest the hybridization, hybrid orbitals. And the valence shell or the valence orbital plays an important role, and it gives a structural representation to the molecule. Now, we will see the formation of hydrogen molecule on the basis of valence bond theory. So this is the topic. Now, if we consider the hydrogen molecule is studied in our previous topic as well, that is H2 plus ion in case of LCAO. In that case, we have taken the example of two hydrogen atom but one electron system, and we determined the LCAO, that is linear combination of atomic orbital. Then the energy diagram for hydrogen molecule by using molecular orbital theory, that is our previous topic. Now this is hydrogen molecular formation on the basis of valence bond theory, that is VBT. So selection of hydrogen is okay because it is a simple system with one electron system and one nuclei. So let's consider two hydrogen atom, that is Ha and Hb, because we need two hydrogen atom to form hydrogen molecule, and we have abbreviated them as alphabet A for hydrogen A and B for hydrogen B. Now, if we see the variation, or we can see here, they will have two different electron, because hydrogen is having one electron and hydrogen B will have one electron, means it is two electron system. In case of MOT, that is molecular orbital theory, linear combination of atomic orbital, we have studied one electron system. Okay, and in case of valence bond theory, we are studying two electron system. Okay, now we have labeled electron 1 and 2 for hydrogen A and hydrogen B respectively. Now let's see how they interact. Now, basically, when two hydrogens are far away from each other, we can say infinite distance, there is no interaction, then potential energy will be zero. Okay, and this potential energy zero means the two hydrogens are very distant from each other, having infinite distance, and they are having some wave function, because as the quantum chemistry suggests, the electron can be studied by considering its wave function. For hydrogen A, that is wave function A, that is psi A, and for hydrogen B, the wave function is psi B. Now let's consider. So this is the hydrogen atoms. HA, this is one hydrogen atom, whereas HB is another hydrogen atom. Hydrogen contains one electron. This also contains one electron. Now, when these two atoms are far away, they don't have any interaction. They are placed of infinite distance from each other. So, since there is no interaction, the potential energy is considered to be zero. Okay. So, when they are separated with infinite distance, the potential energy is considered as a zero, as you can see in the presentation, because there is no interaction. Now somebody may think here, why potential energy is zero? Basically, for any potential energy, there has to be some interaction. If two atoms interact, there should be some interaction, because they possesses different charges, positive as well as negative, positive for the nuclei and negative for the electron. So when they are far away from each other, the potential energy is zero, because there is no interaction. There is no interaction between these particles. Now let's see, when they approach each other, interaction takes place between the nucleus and the electron. Now when these two electrons come together, there will be interactions, different interactions. Since the nuclei are having the positive charge, the positive interaction, the electrons are negative charge, negative interaction, and the positive nuclei and the negative electron, again they will have interaction. So there are a lot of interaction when they come towards each other, approaches each other, and this interaction can be of various type that we can see in the pictorial representation. So this is one hydrogen atom coming closer to another hydrogen atom. Now we can see here, they are not connecting to each other. They are having a finite distance between them. So is there is any overlap? No, there is no overlap, but definitely when they come closer, they will have interactions. So when they will have interaction, there are various type of interaction. The first interaction will be like this. Nuclei will repel each other. Why nuclei will repel each other? Because they are having the same charges. So they will repel with a larger force. But as there is a repulsion, there will be attraction as well. Like this electron will attract the opposite nuclei. So these two different interactions are taking place. One is the repulsion between the same charge nuclei, and attraction between electron and the nuclei. Now somebody may ask here, why there is no repulsive force between the electrons? Yes, there are, but with respect to the magnitude or the power of interaction, the electron-electron repulsions are much lower compared to the repulsion between the nuclei and the attraction between electron and the nuclei. That's why we will consider the two things here: the nuclei repulsion, because they are having the same charges, and the attraction between electron and the nuclei. So these interactions are taking place when these two hydrogen atoms comes together. Now for this we will have one graphical representation, that is potential energy curve, to discuss the hydrogen molecular formation for this on the basis of VBT. Now this is the potential energy curve, and if you see here this point P, this is the point P, this is the point where the atoms are far away from each other. Since the atoms are far away from each other, you can see here this is the origin, means potential energy 0. Okay. Now, whenever the practical or the experiments are done, we have to relate those with the theoretical influence, theoretical conclusions or the observations. Like, experiments were conducted where two hydrogens are kept aside or having some finite distance between them, and they are made to interact. Okay. And the whatever the transitions taking place are studied. For example, when two hydrogens are make interact to form hydrogen molecule, they will have this plot, that is point Q, and this is the plot. This plot A, that is which is plotted with the that blue dotted line, is the energy plot of hydrogen molecule formed by two hydrogen atom, and this is the experimental determination. Okay, this is determined in the laboratory with the instrument, sophisticated instrument, and they found that the energy release in the bond formation, that is called as the bond energy, is 458 kilojoule per mole, whereas the effective bond length between two hydrogen atoms are found to be 0.74 angstrom. Now this is our task, that we have obtained some experimental data. The bond energy is 458 kilojoule per mole, whereas bond length is 0.74 angstrom. Now, according to valence bond theory, we have considered two hydrogen atoms, and both hydrogen atoms are having some wave functions, that is psi A for hydrogen A and psi B for hydrogen B. Now, when they are interacting, we have to use a plus sign there or the interactive sign there. So this will be this one. Okay. So we can see here the psi A with electron having interaction with psi B with second electron, equation number 1. So this is as per the VBT, valence bond theory, that when psi A and psi B interact, they will have this type of interaction and to form hydrogen molecule. And when this psi function is determined by using quantum mechanical operator as well as formulation, we get some theoretical data of bond energy and the bond length. Now this is important. The first graph that we have seen here with dotted blue line is the experimental data, that is bond energy is 458 kilojoule per mole, whereas bond length is 0.74 angstrom. This is experimental data, and to prove this data, we have put forward some assumption in terms of valence bond theory, and they consider the hydrogen A as psi A and hydrogen B as psi B, and when they interact, they will have the equation psi equals to psi A, psi B, psi 1 and psi 2. And when they determine, they have graph P. Now this is the theoretical observation calculation they obtained by solving this psi function that we can solve by using quantum mechanical operator. Now this B plot, if we compare the plot B, that is a reddish dotted line, and plot A, that is a dotted blue line, there is any match? Do you see the results are matching with the theoretical assumption? Yes or no? The practical assumption is graph A. And when we solve this psi function by using quantum mechanical operator, we get this B plot. Okay. So the assumption or the experimental data and the theoretical data matching or not? Is it matching? Yes or no? Because this is the theme here. You can text that A is the practical data and B is the theoretical data. Is it matching? Yes or no? No, this is not matching because the this is the depth point Q is much lower than point B. Means the assumption by the VBT that psi equals to psi A1, psi B2 do not explain the experimental data correctly. So this equation failed. Now we have to see here to make this result or to justify this result we have to assume, and they have assumed three different things. One is the electron exchange, second is the screening effect, and third one is the ionic effect that we will take one by one. Means this psi function is incomplete. For justifying this experimental value, we have to modify this psi function by considering three different effects. I am repeating. The first one is the electron exchange, second one is the shielding effect, and third one is the ionic effect. So first one, so you can see here the values are very deviation. So first one is 458 and the other one is 24. There is a lot of difference between them. Now, the first one is an electron exchange. What is the meaning of electron exchange? The two hydrogen atom, when they mix, they will be hydrogen molecule. Can we say that the electron of one hydrogen will be on the hydrogen A, it will not move in the hydrogen B, or the electron of hydrogen B do not move to the hydrogen A? Is it possible? Is it possible? Tushar is saying no. Means the one electron of hydrogen can move to hydrogen B, whereas electron of B can definitely move to hydrogen A. So this is called as the electron exchange. If this is to be happen, the psi function will change like this. Now, if you see here, when we consider the electron exchange, the psi equals to psi A1, psi B2. This is the first equation. Plus, now they are exchanging psi A in bracket 2, psi B bracket 1. Means there is electron exchange. And when they put this psi function and they solve to determine the bond energy and bond length, obtain the next plot, that is point C, that is orange line. You can see the orange line. Now this orange line is much better than the point, the plot B, and its energy is found to be 303 kilojoule per mole and bond length is 0.80. Means the assumption is much correct. Means when the hydrogen molecule form by two hydrogen atom, after formation of hydrogen molecule, the electron can move from hydrogen 1 to hydrogen A to hydrogen B, hydrogen B to hydrogen A. Means they will have a electron exchange. And when they plotted the graph by using the quantum mechanical operator formulation, they will obtain graph C with bond energy 303 kilojoule per mole and bond length is 0.80. This is nearer, but not much nearer. Now we have to think again. We have to think what are the other interaction there may be between the electron. So next interaction is the screening effect. The screening effect. Screening means shielding, यानी उसको रुकावट देना. Whenever the electron, whenever the atoms combine and forms electron, the electron may shield the other electron, because the electrons are having equal charges and they will definitely repel. Means electron interaction will be shielded by these charges, and this is the screening effect. Means if we see hydrogen atom A having one electron and hydrogen B having two number electron, this hydrogen A with one electron will definitely shield the second number two electron from the hydrogen B, because they are having the same charges and they will restrict the entry to own hydrogen. Okay, and this is nothing but the screening effect, shielding effect. And when the shielding effect is considered in this psi function and they determine the bond energy and the bond length, they obtain another graph that is pointed D with the purple line, and they found the energy 365 kilojoule per mole and bond length 0.76 Armstrong. Means the assumption is correct. Okay, means apart from electron exchange, the electrons as well as electrons shield other electron. They will have screening effect, and when they consider screening effect in this psi function, they will have the graph D, that is purple line, with the bond energy 365 kilojoule per mole and bond length 0.76. Means we are coming nearer to the experimental observation we obtained. Now, next assumption is the ionic effect. Now, when we say it is an ionic effect, means let's take the example of ionic bond formation. In the ionic bond formation, we have taken the example of NaCl formation. Okay, and in NaCl, the sodium donates one electron, okay, to the chlorine, or chlorine accept one electron from the sodium. Means there are formation of positive and the negative charge. Since sodium donates one electron to the chlorine, it will have positive charge, whereas chlorine accepts one electron, it will have negative charge. So this ionic effect, what is the meaning of this ionic effect in case of hydrogen molecular formation from two hydrogen? That one of the hydrogen carries both the electron. In one stage it may be hydrogen A, or in second stage it may be hydrogen B. So how the psi function will be look like? So psi function will be look like psi ionic equals to psi A 1 2 psi B plus psi A B 1 2. Now if you see correctly, in the first parameter, the both electrons are with hydrogen A, whereas in the second, both electron with hydrogen B. In this case, when both electrons are in hydrogen A, hydrogen B will have positive charge. But in the second case, when both electrons are with B, A will have positive charge. Means it will definitely have some ionic property. Is it understood? If you don't understand, I can repeat it. Ionic effect, do you understand? Anybody? So I can proceed with the next thing. Ionic effect is okay. Mahadev is saying okay. Anyone else? Is it okay? Can I proceed with the next? So the ionic effect means in the interaction, the two electron of hydrogen molecule may reside at one time at hydrogen A, whereas another time it may be reside at another. Means electrons will sweep. Okay, they will have their own position at different time at different places. So that's why the psi function changes here. Psi ionic equals to psi A 1 and 2 electron. This psi B will be vacant, whereas in the second plus psi A psi B, both electron will be at psi B, will be vacant. So this is very fast process. Electrons are exchanging and they gives the ionic effect. When this psi function is solved, we have another representation that is green colored E graph, that that energy, bond energy is found to be 388 kilojoule per mole and bond length is 0.75 Armstrong. Now this is much closer to the experimental observation we get from the analysis, from the experimental data. So observations are matching with the theoretical concepts. Now, if we take the sum of all these things for hydrogen molecule formation by the VBT, first, the electron exchange plays an important role. It decreases the energy. Electron exchange means electron can move from one hydrogen atom to another hydrogen atom, and there is an exchange between the two hydrogen atoms. Screening takes place. Electrons, when they exchange, they also restricts the entry of other electron by shielding. So this is the screening effect, and this may happen that the electron resides at one of the hydrogen atom, giving positive charge to the other hydrogen atom. So it gives the ionic behavior. So electron exchange, screening effect, and the ionic effect gives the proper psi function or proper assumption to explain the bond energy of hydrogen molecule formation and the bond length. Now, another thing is, what if they have a repulsive interaction, means they come much nearer to their atomic nuclei distance, so they will have this interaction. They will not form the bond, because the potential energy increases, and increase in the potential energy always leads to the instability, and there is no hydrogen molecule formation. So this is how hydrogen molecule formation by VBT is explained, by using some assumption. So these assumptions help us to give much nearer data to the experimental observation obtained for the hydrogen molecule. Now, in the next one, there are some limitations for the VBT, because whenever we discuss the things required for the VBT and the postulates, they are unable to explain many molecules. They are unable to explain the energy transition, and that's why in the explanation of the bond formation by the VBT, they are not so specific. They are not so correct with respect to the bond formation. How? The first limitation is they do not explain the coordinate bond formation. In the coordinate bond formation, the important thing is one of the partner is complete donor, whereas another partner is the complete acceptor. This is a special type of covalent bond. So only covalent bonds are explained by the VBT. They do not explain the coordinate bond. So this is the first limitation. Another limitation, they explain the bigger molecules. They are unable to explain the bigger molecules like BF3, BCl5, SF6, because even they do not maintain the octet. Okay, they form. So this is not explained by the VBT, because the important assumption they kept is the octet formation. But this molecule, if you see, that is BF3, that is barium fluoride, then PCl3, SF6, these are all form, but they are not having the octet. They much above than the octet. So this is not explained by the valence bond theory. Next limitation is two electron systems. They are unable to explain single electron system. The core of valence bond theory is whenever the bond forms, there should be pair of electron. But we have seen various examples where one electron system is also present. Okay, and this is experimentally proved. So this is not explained by the VBT. One electron system is not explained by the VBT. Similarly, they are unable to explain the paramagnetic behavior of some molecules like oxygen, because when the paramagnetic or the diamagnetic behavior is having some important role to explain the property, this is not explained by the VBT. They are unable to explain the paramagnetic behavior of oxygen. Similarly, they are unable to explain the partial ionic nature of the covalent bond. They suggested but unable to explain it, because it need some concrete proof for that. They suggested, but they do not explain the partial behavior of ionic behavior and covalent bond. And the last one, the bond order. Bond order explained by the molecular orbital theory is much better compared to the VBT, because in some cases they are unable to explain the bond order of the molecules like CO, carbon monoxide molecules. So there are limitations in the VBT, and for this we have to look forward for another theories, and MOT is much better explaining with respect to the energy transition stability, because these two things are very crucial in the bond formation. Now in the last, let's compare, because this is the concluding. We have discussed MOT, and that is molecular orbital theory, and the valence bond theory. Let's compare it. So there are basically three important things that we have to keep in mind. The first one, both assumes the valence shell electrons. Okay, the bond formation is possible by valence. If they have the same thing, they consider the involvement of only one molecule for the formation of the molecule. Now, the valence bond theory assumes the overlapping, but complete mixing is suggested by the molecular orbital theory. And this is very correct, because if the overlapping is profound or maximum, the energy stabilization is there. We have calculated in our previous lecture that whenever the overlap is maximum, they will have more electron density between the nuclei, and they will stabilize the bond and energy decreases. But this is not explained by the valence bond theory. And at last, the valence bond theory only suggested the hybridized orbital they form. Okay, but molecular orbital theory suggested the new molecular orbital form. Those two molecular orbitals are bonding, and the anti-bonding depending on the energy. Low energy molecular orbitals are considered as a bonding, whereas high energy molecular orbitals is considered as an anti-bonding. So these are the three important comparison of valence bond and the molecular orbital theory. And if we conclude this unit, that quantum chemistry help in explaining the structural behavior of atom, its energy, how bond formation takes place, what is the symmetry, and experimental results. These are all explained by the quantum chemistry, and they are being used by the valence bond theory and the molecular orbital theory to explain the bond formation. So here I conclude. Thank you for your patience listening. And I thoroughly enjoyed this session of quantum chemistry and the molecular orbital and the valence bond theory. I feel this topic you should prepare with respect to your larger aspect, because when we discuss the quantum chemistry, it is having its importance in the spectroscopy, it is having importance in the determination of bond energy, it is having importance in the group theory. Okay, it is having importance in explaining the spontaneity, that is entropy. So basically the quantum chemistry, if we see, it is very helpful for explaining the subatomic behavior of the particle. And when we learn the quantum chemistry, we can have various rigid information about the subatomic particles and its application, because more or less when we learn anything, we should have the basic or its inclusion towards the application, then and then it is very fruitful. So quantum chemistry is having much broader application. It explains the mechanisms, it explains the spectroscopy, it explains the geometry, it explains the group theory. So there are very much wider areas those are having the foundation in the quantum chemistry. So if anybody is having any doubt, or rather we can say any question, you can text. I already provided the notes, just refer it. It is in a very lucid language. I referred a few textbook reference books, and you can have much better information in those notes. Okay, so it's a great pleasure to teach you students, an excellent experience, and I wish you all the best for your next anything you plan for your lectures as well as your career aspects. Okay, I'm available 24/7. If you have any doubt, you can text me on my WhatsApp number. I will definitely revert back. Okay, so thank you so much.